Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Fallout review. So here's my review for episode 7. We only have one more review after this, which for sure will be out later on today. I really can't wait for this last episode. Honestly, I kind of hate having to do this review because I'm just so excited to watch episode 8 right now. But obviously there's a lot that happened in episode 7. Some stuff in here that I'm actually a little confused on. I do wonder, because I know Fallout stuff. I've played the games, and also I've been learning a lot more of the lore and stuff lately, but something in this episode kind of confused me, and I wonder if that's what people are upset about. So I'll mention it in this video, and if that's what that is, then definitely let me know in the comment section. But yeah, as always, this will contain spoilers for episode 7, so I hope you guys are all aware of that. So for episode 8, I will be doing a review on that later on today, and then I'll do a full series review probably tomorrow. And then, yeah, we'll focus on some season 2 stuff, and then just some stuff on just like the communities in general. I'm talking about certain things like, well, I guess we'll have to see where the story ends here, but yeah, just talk about certain storylines and where things could go in season 2, sort of explain some stuff there at the ending and all that. I really, honestly, I do love this series a lot. I love these characters. It truly is an epic show. Like, it really is. So episode 7, it does begin with, we see some characters looking for bottle caps, and well, actually, was it bottle caps or was it lead? Because I think it was a lead farm or something like that. Anyways, the point of this scene anyways is that the Ghoul is there when they get home, and he wants Moldaver's location because it seemed like the kid actually encountered Moldaver at some point. And yeah, it seems like the whole reveal right now is basically trying to figure out more of who she is. And I will say this episode, it doesn't really paint her as a villain, I would say. Like, obviously she is in some sense, but I like the line that Cooper says in here. It's sort of a line that's used a lot in The Walking Dead, which is, I mean, it's not really used in The Walking Dead, but by the writers and stuff like that, obviously it is, which is, you know, everyone is a villain in some way. Or, you know, everyone else, or people who are villains don't really believe that they're villains, right? And you can kind of see that from Moldaver's point of view. Like, you can kind of sympathize with her a little bit. You can understand, you know, what she's doing, because also, you know, you look at the opposite of what she's doing, and you look at, you know, Vault-Tec, and yes, they're helping people, but there's a lot of messed up stuff that they're doing. And we sort of learned that as well, that Moldaver actually worked with Cooper's wife, and, you know, she wants to fix the world and all that, and she wants Cooper's help. And so he obviously decides no. He's just like, no, I'm not going through with this. And that's sort of where things end off for now. We do see Lucy after episode 6. Obviously, she was captured, and so now she's being questioned about going to level 12. And yes, for sure, Vault 4 is a society governed by scientists. It's exactly what they said here in this episode. So that's what I kind of figured. But by the end of episode 6, I was a little confused by it, because it seemed like, yes, there were scientists, but there is also just a lot of non-scientific stuff happening in the vault. So I was like, I don't know, maybe it started off that way, but then it changed a lot. But no, it still is sort of that way, and we learn a lot more details about the vault. I love the scene with Maximus though, where he has to like choose between Lucy and his popcorn, and like obviously we knew that like he was going to choose Lucy, but for a second there, you know, he thought about it. Also, we saw the red rocket. That was incredible. And yeah, the Squire's now here, and he's trying to get in contact with the Brotherhood, so we follow that storyline here in this episode. And this storyline got very, very interesting. I was not expecting him to get this storyline specifically. I thought he would just die at some point. Lucy is also now on trial, and then she's sentenced to death by banishment from the vault, and she has to go to the surface now. So yeah, that's good. And then Maximus shows up in his armor and like, yeah, sort of ruins the whole thing here, and it ends up being this whole crazy scene. But basically that just like allows them to leave. And then Lucy has this whole dilemma where she has to give back the fusion core, and Maximus is very frustrated. For me personally, I would have just kept the fusion core. I mean, I guess that is their only resource, and you probably could find a fusion core up in the surface somewhere. So I guess there is that. I probably would feel like, oh, I don't know about that. But it's just because in this world, with the way things are, you know, it's like you really want to prioritize your own survival, I think, overall. And I feel like, you know, having that fusion core would have helped a lot. It really would have helped a lot in terms of, well, they don't have to leave the armor, but they actually had to leave the armor here in this scene. So I imagine they'll get it back at some point, but I guess I understand it. To me personally, like, they're both trying to survive out there. So I also just don't really understand it, because like they're really trying to survive out there, and it's a hard world to survive in. So you want to use any sort of advantage that you can, right? And so I don't know, you just got a fusion core. Like, I would have used it. You know, it would have helped so much in terms of your own defenses and stuff, right? Also in this episode, I guess Lucy and Maximus are a thing now. So yeah, I mean, I guess you kind of got that hint before, but he's going to go live with her in the vault. And it seemed like that was like, all right, I guess that's probably what's going to happen overall. And I do wonder, you know, what the future is going to look like for these characters. I'm really excited about the finale here. I really hope that they both survive, but it is Fallout, so they really could go in different directions here. But The other storyline, like going back to the Squire, he gets his foot cured. And I was very, very interested in this because I wasn't really sure about what happened there originally. And I just figured, well, it was something. Like he was given something here. And I don't know if this is how, like I actually wrote down my notes. Is he going to become a mutant or something like that? But I guess this is how he's going to become a ghoul. Like, is that what they actually changed for ghouls? Is that what people are very, very upset about? Because we saw at the very, very end there that obviously he gets an arrow through the neck, and I was like, okay, easy death. Because it just seemed like Maximus and Lucy, when they found him, I was like, okay, that's really bad for him, but maybe there would be this whole chase scene. And then no, he just dies like that. So I was like, okay, easy death. And then literally in my notes, I wrote, okay, no, never mind. He drank medicine. I guess that turned him into a ghoul. What? And so I guess if that is the whole issue here, I kind of understand it from, fans being very like upset about that in that sense. If that is sort of what happened there, if he actually turned into a ghoul, from, I guess, medicine and all of that. For me personally, it's not really the end of the world because I don't think it's clearly defined, in terms of what makes you turn into a ghoul or like what turns you feral and all of that. It seems like it is very kind of random. There's not a lot of clarification in general. And I think that the show wanting to make a really interesting story out of it like this, I think is honestly totally fine. I really don't see any issue with it at all. I personally am totally okay with that decision to actually do that with ghouls. And again, I see a lot of people very, very upset about just in general what they've done with certain things, but I just like honestly when you look at this show and what they're doing, it's just a little different. Like with the games, I feel like they change the lore all the time, or especially when Bethesda took over. So like I don't really see this being that big of an issue. It's not that world breaking. It's not that insane of a thing, to be honest. I totally am okay with it. In Vault 33 though, we do see that all the raiders are dead, and so now that's sort of an issue. We also see that some people are being assigned to Vault 32. And so in this storyline here, obviously at the very end of the episode, we do see a lot of people going to Vault 32. Norman's sort of upset about the whole thing, and he actually goes and sneaks off there at the very end and speaks with Overseer 31. So I'm excited to see where this goes here. And we learn that Betty, the new Overseer here of Vault 33, was actually from Vault 31 and is on like a mission of some sorts here. And so Norman at the very end of the episode actually goes to Vault 31. And that's sort of the cliffhanger that we end off here. But I'm very, very interested in that aspect to it. For me personally, I don't know if it's going to be too big of a reveal, like it just in the general sense. I feel like, we kind of already know the answer. I feel like Vault 31, it could be a management vault, or maybe there is something more sinister there where you actually have Vault 31 trying to take over all of the vaults, right? So maybe it's more of a war with the vaults, and it's not necessarily a vault management vault. Maybe that's the experiment, with these three vaults specifically. I don't know, but that's kind of the, expectation I have right now. There's a lot of stuff with like, their mom as well, right? Like, where is she at this point? I'm curious about things like that just because I feel like that will definitely play a bigger role in all of this right now. But yeah, I'm just kind of expecting, this whole storyline to kind of end with, them realizing that, basically everything here has been controlled, basically. And it's sort of, they're an experiment kind of thing, right? Because obviously that is something that Lucy is slowly learning as well. And I think that's what is going to be sort of, ultimately, I feel like everyone's going to leave the vaults. Like, at least in Vault 33 and like 32 and 31, like especially 33, I think everyone's overall going to leave the vaults by the end. I don't know if it's going to happen in this season, but in season 2, I think that's probably where they're going to go, just because I don't know how you can live there and like be okay with sort of being controlled in that sense, right? But again, that's if that's actually happening here. And yeah, but we see Ghoul, he actually finds the dog, and that was kind of cool. This dog, honestly, it's hilarious. This dog is actually a pretty big character here in this show. He's constantly with new people, and obviously here he finds Cooper or the Ghoul. We actually get a really cool Cooper flashback, and he has these like inner ear monitors, and I thought that they were gonna go somewhere there. He's obviously trying to figure out if his wife, knows something or is keeping something away from him. And I will say, his suspicions there, it's interesting. It really is, just because she's not around anymore, right? Obviously, we see in the present timeline, she's not around at all. So what happens? There's also that very, beginning opening scene there where, I mean, it could have just been a scene where we had Cooper and his daughter just, attending a birthday party and putting on a show kind of thing. But like, what happens after that? Because we see him sort of ride off, but we don't really see the ending to that. So I'm assuming in the finale, we might actually see what happens there. So I'm very, very curious as to what is happening there, just kind of overall. And it looks like he is still very suspicious on the whole thing. And they really set up a lot of really awesome stuff here in this episode. And I'm excited for the finale now, right? Like, if you just look at where all the storylines are going right now, I think there's going to be a big showdown here in the finale. And I'm just kind of excited to see how they set up a season 2. And just, I guess, the locations on some stuff. And yeah, I'm going to watch that probably in a couple of hours, and then I'll get my review out. So I'm going to be doing, obviously you're watching this already, I'm going to have a Walking Dead video out after this. And then after that, I will have my finale video out. And for sure that will be out today, because I'm just so excited to watch this finale already. In terms of my episode 7 review, I actually, I had a lot of people actually come over yesterday, so I couldn't really record. That's sort of an issue in terms of recording and all that. If there's a lot of people over, can't really record because it's too loud. And yeah, they didn't leave for hours and hours and hours, literally until nighttime. So as soon as they left, and yeah, I sort of like tidied up the house and all of that, that's when I got to watch the episode. I made all of my notes and everything, and then I just recorded everything this morning. So yeah, just like whenever I say, you know, I'm expecting to have a video out, usually it will happen unless something like that happens. Usually a bunch of people will come over, or I have to go somewhere, and then it just sort of messes up my plans with that. But the way I see it, though, is, you know, it's sort of extending our sort of talk about this show. And that's, you know, I will say, I'll probably talk about it in my series review, but I think they should have had this airing week to week. I hope in season 2 they do that. Like, there's so much to talk about here in every single episode that I just feel like it's, you know, and it would have been fun to theorize going in, you know, between each episode on things, but they just sort of gave us all of it. And it's so hard to focus on like all the little things, because there's so much in every episode, going back all the way to episode 1, right? 1 through 8, that I just think, yeah, you know, airing week to week probably would have been the smarter decision here. But at this point, it is what it is, right? So anyways, post all your thoughts down below on episode 7. Stay tuned for my finale review coming out very, very soon. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.